Most astrology is just information, but how do you turn that into integration? Because we don't need more information, we need more integration. So I'm going to share 5 steps to unlock the potential of April 2026. I'm Jeremy Devins. This is the Quietmind Astrology podcast. All of this is based on many years of research, thousands of case studies. And the first step is to look at the weekly themes of April. Then we'll look at the 5 turning points of the month. Then we'll set intentions based on your rising and moon sign. So if you don't know your own chart, get your free birth chart at quietmindastrology.com. And number 4 is to take aligned action in sync with astrology, doing the actions that are favorable for the intentions, for the themes, and the turning points of the month. When we work against these energies, we have more misaligned action and more challenges. And then the 5th step is integration, actually applying this, integrating it, and processing what you've learned through the process. So if you want guidance with this, there's a free guide at quietmindastrology.com/April26. I actually spent a lot of time on this, very happy with it. I think it's awesome. It's a really useful guide that I'll be using and you can use throughout the month to take notes, to set intentions, and to integrate everything you learned here. Those of you inside of New Moon Alignment, you have a sort of advanced version of this inside of New Moon Alignment now. So number 1 are the weekly themes of this month, and you'll be seeing these through the podcast. In fact, you already saw the last theme of last week. But first, we're going to talk about the core theme of the whole month. And the core theme of April, I think, is the move from surrender to self-trust. If you force clarity this month, you'll probably feel stuck. But if you slow down, life will open up to you. What I mean by that, I'll go deeper in this episode and then throughout the episodes this month of April as we go deeper into these themes of the weekly themes in the podcast. So the most recent episode, if you haven't listened already, it's called Strength Through Surrender. It's about the theme of finding strength through letting go, which is a kind of counterintuitive way of working with this energy, where you might think that to find strength, you need to use more effort and control more. But actually this month, less effort, less control gives you more strength and more power. April 5th, this month, we'll talk about the theme of that week will be what your emotions are showing you. Then the next week, the theme is about developing a new level of confidence and power. After that is about letting go of old identities. And then the last week of April, the theme is that what you want is on the other side of that week, and a really interesting thing going on in April at the end of the month. So these are the themes, and I'll be going deeper in those episodes on these themes throughout the month. So stay tuned for those. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and leave a comment on Spotify. Let me know what you like on the podcast. So that's our themes of the month. Now, the second step to integrate astrology into your life this month is to know the 5 major turning points. This is the information part of the equation that most astrologers can provide, but with maybe not the same kind of insights in their own perspectives. But here is knowing the major turning points and how to work with these energies so that we can set clearer intentions and take aligned actions. So the first major energy shift and turning point of April is on the 1st with the full moon in Hasta, which brought themes of clarity, habits, and control to the surface. It's a favorable window around the beginning of April for organizing and health resets. I've personally been working with a bit of a kidney challenge over the past couple of years. I've had an off and on kidney infection issue, and now I'm recovering a lot from that. Nothing too major, but I'm having a big reset there in my health, some adjustments in my diet, cutting out more sugar, even the good sugars. So that's how I'm working with it. How are you working with it in the full moon? And unfavorable perfectionism and controlling, which I know about as well as a Virgo rising, but noticing where you might have a perfectionist tendency. And there's an interesting saying that perfectionism is actually not a high standard, but the lowest standard you could have. Because when you're perfectionist, then you end up not creating things and you end up freezing and just not doing anything. So it actually is worse than if you had a low standard and just put something out into the world or created something or just stop second guessing. But when you're perfectionistic, then you end up not doing anything. And it actually limits you a lot. So you notice those tendencies coming up for you around the beginning of April. And a practice you can do around this time, the first week of April, is Nadi Shodhana or alternate nostril breathing to help clear the mind and focus your energy. That if you want guidance on that, there is a lesson on my Quietmind Yoga YouTube channel or inside of New Moon Alignment. April 13th is the second of the 5 major turning points of the month. The sun moves into Aries and Ashwini, starting a new cycle through the zodiac. This is what we call the solar new year in Vedic astrology. So the big theme here on April 13th on this day is bold new beginnings, really moving into something you want to start and create. There's a lot of momentum, power, force, creative energy here available to you around mid-April. Favorable for starting fresh, taking action, beginning new projects. Unfavorable for overthinking and hesitation. So this is the time to act. A good practice to do around mid-April are sun salutations, which are very common in most yoga styles and hatha and vinyasa and power. So any sun salutation practice, even just one around mid-April can be nice, but some sort of regular practice is great to build energy and sort of cleanse the energy channels to help energy flow more into mid-April, which also is supported by the beginning of April doing the alternate nostril breath to open the energy for this. And again, we'll talk about the more specific themes through the weeks of this month. And then right after that is the new moon in Ashwini on April 17th. This is also a powerful, fresh start kind of energy, new beginnings. Ashwini, the horse symbol, which is healing energy, and a swift, creative, initiative energy. Favorable for setting strong intentions and moving towards big goals, big intentions. The new moon is always a time for setting intentions. Ashwini, Aries, very powerful for taking action in a new direction. Unfavorable for doubt and waiting too long. So you really want to watch for overthinking, overanalyzing, especially mid-April, and really have a bias towards action. The main practice here with the new moon is to just write down your intentions for the moon, the lunar cycle of the moon over the next lunar cycle of 28 days or so. The next big turning point of the month is on April 20th. Ketu moves into Magha nakshatra, and this is a pretty significant one because Ketu's transits take 18 years. So it's been 18 years since Ketu was here. And the theme here is about releasing ego and identity, letting go of attachments, especially to things to do with ancestry and the family ties in the past. If anywhere you've taken on pride in a selfish or foolish or controlling way, Ketu cuts that away. So it's a humbling time and actually very empowering spiritually, but it can feel quite challenging for the ego where we want to control or be right or be a certain way. It's very favorable for letting go of old roles and identities that you've played. And there are times where we play certain roles as family dynamics and work dynamics and relationships, and those roles need to evolve and change over time. And if we hold on to them, then we get stuck and we have things like arrested development where we don't grow up or we don't evolve and we sort of miss the opportunities of life. So is there an old identity that needs to be released now around mid-April? This whole theme will be running through the end of 2026. So it's a long cycle, but it starts in April 20th. Unfavorable for seeking status or validation. This is like the opposite of what I just said, where you're moving towards trying to achieve and be in control and be powerful and be seen and validated and needing to attain some big sense of status or ego or like getting some sort of status symbol or a certain car or you wanting to be seen a certain way or the way you dress. These things are all vanity and will be humbled by the Ketu and Magha energy, which brings us back to our roots and away from the superficial into the spiritual, away from the material to the spiritual. So if anywhere that we're looking for status at the sake of our spirit and our real sense of what we feel called to, it will be much more challenging. You can do it, you can try it. And of course, there's levels of this where you could still have like promotions or raises or a new success or buy new material things, but it's just important to check in of where it's coming from. Is it coming from a place of wanting to be recognized and seen and accepted and appreciated? Or is it coming from a humble place of enjoyment, pleasure? The four aims of life of Arta is wealth and pleasure and joy. And that's important to experience that and have that and not to just totally detach from it because that in itself is a desire, but to enjoy life, but not from a sake of ego or control or something superficial. So just checking in where these motivations are coming from around April 20th. A good practice to do for this around April 20th is anything to do with aparigraha. This is the yogic practice of non-grasping, aparigraha, non-attachment. So a very simple way you can do this is just tensing up your body and then letting it go. So you're practicing the ability to hold on and the ability to let go, which is one of the big lessons of aparigraha, which I could speak for many hours about, and I have in my teacher trainings and things like that. So if you want practices for this, they're in New Moon Alignment and also on the Quietmind Yoga YouTube channel. April 23rd, Mars in Revati Nakshatra. This is the last big turning point of the month of the 5. And the theme here is surrendering action. So there's a big theme throughout April of surrender. And it's very favorable in the end of April for intuitive, creative kind of work, connecting more to your intuition, your inner guidance, and unfavorable for forcing outcomes. Mars is the warrior who wants to take action, achieve, get things done. Revati is about releasing, letting go, relinquishing. So the action is in relinquishing of letting go. So we've got some strong starting energy right before this to initiate, but here is teaching us around late April to not be attached to the outcome, to not be controlling, but to be surrendered to what is really aligned for us. And it's more like a dance in that sense, where you're kind of dancing with life and you're kind of not really leading it or controlling it. It's a navigating thing together. So a great practice to do around the end of April is any sort of slow flow vinyasa or hatha flow practice to move more fluidly with this energy. So nothing too vigorous, strenuous, nothing too relaxed or yin, but it's an active letting go, an active release, an active practice of surrendering, which is a paradox, but that is part of the energy of April 2026. Step 3 today of bringing this from information to integration is setting your intentions for the month. So we're going to do this sign by sign. So you want to listen for your rising and your moon sign. So if your rising or moon sign is Aries, the major opportunity and themes this month are around rest, letting go, and addressing your inner life. For Taurus, rising and moon, it's about community, your vision, and your income. For Gemini, rising and moon, this is about career direction and purpose. For Cancer, rising and moon, it's about your beliefs, your purpose, and the big picture of your life. Also, your teachers for Cancer. Leo, this month, the major opportunity for your rising or moon sign is around shared resources, addressing your fears, and going deep into your psychology, deeper in relationships, deeper into family matters. For Virgo, the big theme this month for you is relationships and partnerships. That can be romantic, family, business related, transactional as well. The 7th house is affected here, and that is the place of the marketplace, which is also relationships, marriage, contracts. For Libra, rising and moon, this month, the major opportunities around your health, your routines, and your work habits. For Scorpio, rising or moon, the major opportunities this month are around your creativity, joy, and self-expression. Sagittarius is around home, family, and emotional base. Capricorn, it's around your communication and your thinking and your friendships. For Aquarius, it's around your money, your self-worth, and your assets. Also family matters. For Pisces, the major themes are around your identity and your self-direction. And this can be a very pivotal time for your sense of self and who you are. Also taking care of the body is very important this month for Pisces. So with these intentions, now you can set your intention for the month, knowing the major themes, the opportunities of everything we talked about is in those areas of your life this month. And if you want more details on this, then you can get your free birth chart at quietmindastrology.com. And you can get the free guide at quietmindastrology.com/April26. The fourth step is to take all of that, your intentions, the information of the month, the weekly themes, and take it into aligned actions, actions that are aligned with your vision and your intentions. And the fifth step is to practice integration weekly and monthly to process and digest what you've experienced with some sort of accountability group or friends you're sharing this with. I don't recommend you do this all alone. Astrology is better with friends. So sharing your insights and your process with friends and community, and processing and digesting the experience at the end of like what went well, what did you learn, how did you integrate the lessons of the month. And that's how we see really meaningful progress each month. And that's what we do inside New Moon Alignment. So that's where we unlock the potential of every month with live horoscopes, Q&A, and practices. And you have your own custom birth chart playlist and yoga practices, and a private WhatsApp community to keep you accountable and to share your successes and integrate everything throughout the month. So you can check that out at quietmindastrology.com/new moon. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And I look forward to sharing more with you in the weekly episodes here on the Quiet Mind Astrology podcast.